It's time to make Christmas fruitcake, and it's very, very good. For those of us who love it, you'll know what I mean. Real homemade fruitcake is the real thing. Not that garbage you see in the local stores wrapped and sealed in cellophane for an inflated price. Those aren't fruitcake, those are bricks. They're semi-sweet bread with candied fruit, and they are manure, just like they taste. So if you've judged fruitcake by those, you haven't really had a fruitcake. Homemade ones are true fruitcake. True fruitcake is rich and wonderful, and it may become a new family tradition at your house. Now when you do make your fruitcake, you're not limited to any certain type like a bundt cake pan. Make tiny muffins and serve them as little tea cakes. They are perfect. Now here I've already soaked the fruit and nuts for 24 hours, and it's time for the actual mixing and baking of the cake. I blended 2 sticks of butter with the sugar. We're mixing in the egg yolks. Use a really big bowl because you will need large bowls. The separated egg whites will be used later. It's easier to have help when you're making the cake, so right now my husband is helping me with this. We're going to be adding the spices into the mix and later include the flour. It'll not seem like a lot of batter, but the bulk of any fruitcake is the fruit and nuts. Now we're putting the spices into the mixture. I'm using the ½ teaspoon measure. The spices are very, very aromatic in this cake. You'll love those. Now after we've added the flour and the jams, we are starting to mix in the nut mixture, the fruit and nut mixture. The batter will be very, very stiff, but again, the fruit and nuts are the main portion of this particular fruit cake. It's really, really dense. Where you'll be using the egg whites, which you've left sitting at room temperature, since they're the easiest to whip up that way. Just put your mixer on high speed and keep mixing until the peaks form, and they'll be ready to add to the cake batter at that time. Now after your egg whites have been all beaten into stiff forms, we're going to fold that egg white mixture into your batter, fruit and nut mixture. So it is very heavy and it's kind of hard to fold it in, and that's where it's really nice to have a helper there with you, because the batter is so dense, and especially with all the nuts and everything in there, and to me the more nuts the better. It's good to have a lot of help here to help you with that mixing. Now the next thing that you'll be doing is prepping your baking tins. I use the butter spray usually, or it's better to line them with either parchment paper or foil because it's so much easier to get them out, and that way you don't have a disaster on your hands. So once you decide on what kind of pan you're going to use, you fill them up. The cake does not rise very much, so you don't need to leave too much room. And I pat it down with a spoon so that you remove all the air pockets, and then bang it against the counter to make sure all the air pockets are removed. And then wipe down the pans just to keep there being from like burnt pieces on the edges. That works just perfectly. The recipe and baking times are below the video, so check those out. I've got these all done, but these tins have been removed from the oven and allowed to cool for 20 minutes on the wire racks. You can mix or sprinkle them with the brandy, sherry, wine, whatever you're going to be using at that point, and then you'll be doing that again. Oh yeah, and I did see that. He's fired. Now you'll just be wrapping these cakes after they've cooled in a liquor moistened towel and re-wetting them about every 10 days and store them in a dark, dry place. Your wait will be worth it. Now thank you for watching, and be sure to subscribe and hit the like button. I welcome any comments or questions that you have.